What's up, guys? It's your boys from Madden.com, and today we're going to be talking about the new title update that just dropped today, and it's something that people have been looking forward to because they kind of hyped it up a couple weeks ago, saying that this would be the patch that really addresses the run game. So before I actually get into the details of what they've done, I want to say straight up, I don't really agree with how they've done this. This is not how I think you should be patching the game. And the way that they've done it is they've added more abilities, and I'll be talking about those abilities in a second. I thought they would maybe, buff run block sheds a little bit, maybe fix pursuit angles. Those are the kind of things I would have done if I was in their position, but obviously I'm not. And I think they're thinking about the money that they could make from these abilities. So regardless, I'm not here to really offer my opinion too much. I just want to break down what the patch is. So let's get right into it. As always, the full patch notes will be linked in the comment section as well as the description of the video if you guys want to read everything for yourself, because I don't talk about everything. I don't talk about some of the franchise mode stuff. I don't really talk about all the new superstars that are in the game, because they usually will downgrade people and upgrade people to these superstar positions. So if you want to check these out for yourselves, you can. We're going to start off by talking about the new abilities. So first of all, one that kind of caught Twitter on fire was this one right here, was Most. I'll talk about this other one in a second. So I just want to first say Most is an absolutely ridiculous X Factor, but it's just an X Factor. I don't think people should worry too much about it. It's pretty hard to get guys in the zone this year, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But what it does do is they will win every contested catch that is past 50 yards, which is ridiculous. But I mean, it is pretty hard to get him in the zone, so there's that, I suppose. Protective custody is a new X Factor as well. Ball carriers with this ability are immune to fumbling when in the zone, which is pretty cool. I don't see anything wrong with that, but I mean, again, it's an X Factor. We will talk about all of the new abilities, which is, first of all, Lumberjack. This is going to prevent broken tackles and can also cause fumbles when using cut stick tackles. For those of you who don't know what cut stick is, it's going to be down on the right stick. That's going to kind of take out your opponent's legs, and you get a pretty cool animation from that. Out my way, defensive line ability that always wins versus, defensive ability that always wins versus impact blocks attempts versus wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. To me, not incredibly useful. This would be more useful versus an offensive lineman, although that wouldn't be realistic. So I wouldn't say this might have some specific use cases versus certain alignments. If you have a certain defensive formation, then it could be useful. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to be extremely used. Goal line stuff, defensive ability allowing quick block sheds against one-on-one run blocks within 5 yards of the goal line. Inside stuff. So this is the one that I'm really curious about. So if you guys want to check this one out for yourself, I believe Kenny Clark just got this today. So if you go to practice mode, you can check it out with Kenny Clark. He does have inside stuff. And I'm curious if you put him at a 0 tech, which means like you put him just hat on hat with a center, straight up, no shading or anything. I'm curious how he plays, because if he can shed pretty much every single time versus a dive, that's huge. That is something that you would definitely want to have on your defense, even in salary cap. Having a guy there who can just pretty much beat the center every single time when it comes to, well, at least the center that doesn't have a superstar ability. Beat him every time off the block and basically shut down a dive single-handedly. Now there is the same one, which is no outsiders, which is the exact same thing as inside stuff, but obviously it's going to be outside. And this is going to be, if you use a 3-4 odd, a 3-3-5 wide, having your outside linebackers having no outsiders on can make it very easy to get off blocks and stop a stretch. So that could also be huge. If you play salary cap, you're going to have to be careful, because if you don't have a secure tackler on your team, you just have these run stuffing abilities, you could still get destroyed by like a bruiser bow or something of that nature. The last one is just called Tank. I'm not going to really talk about it because you're not going to see it much. But if you want to read the full patch notes, you can. And let's go down to the gameplay updates. So I'm not going to talk about every single one, but I'll talk about the main ones. So they reintroduced the stumble mechanic for ball carriers. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that from last year. Once your guy gets tripped up, you have the opportunity to keep going as long as you hit the right direction on, I think, the right stick. They have tuned to reduce the frequency of auto broken tackles versus AI controlled and user controlled defenders when using conservative tackle on competitive game style. So I used to use conservative and cover the ball at all times, and sometimes even with a really bad running back like Corey Grant on salary cap. I wouldn't say he's really bad, but I'm just saying like he's a gold card. He would actually break tackles quite frequently on conservative. So this is what they've addressed. I mean, that wasn't really fair. So I'm glad they have made that change. Let's see. We also have, yeah, this is what it also talks about. Kind of extends into this one about actually using the cover ball mechanic. This one's big for those of you who like to run with your quarterback, use Heavy Panther or something. Tuning to prevent the ball carrier from retaining top speed while using the cover ball mechanic on competitive game style. So basically, if Heavy Panther was your scheme, don't recommend running it anymore because your guy's going to run slow as fuck. And that's pretty much it. I think he has like 20 speed. He's like reduced to like around 20 speed. I don't know the exact number, but that's what I've been seeing on Twitter. We also have tuning to slightly increase block shed speed for the run stuffer zone ability when in the zone. That's an Expector. This one is one that I was actually, I wouldn't say keeping hidden from you guys, but I really didn't want this one to spread. And it was fix an issue that prevented the offense from snapping the ball with a player in motion when the defense was resetting the play. So there used to be, so whenever people were doing like I-form tight runs, they could motion their guy and then they could flip it and snap before the wide receiver is finished motioning over. They removed that, but you could also have prevented them from doing that by resetting your play, and then they cannot snap the ball until the receiver is actually set after his motion. So they can't do any kind of motion snapping if you reset your play, and it looks like they've changed that. And then the last one that I want to talk about is one that I think anybody should be happy about. Fix an issue allowing inaccurate sky kickoffs near the sideline to be frequently recovered by the kicking team. So it says it right here. You guys know what it is, scum kick. That's something that's been a pain in the ass for the past couple of weeks because it's actually a viable kick that you could probably get, if you're really good at it, you could get the ball back at least once a game if your opponent doesn't know what he's doing. Sometimes more, especially if it's against someone who doesn't know what they're doing. So they've changed that. It's now going to sail out of bounds, which is good news for everybody, except for the people who are abusing it, I suppose. But that's going to be it for the topics that I cover. Like I said, comment section and description for the full patch notes. Any questions, let me know. Also, I want to hear what you guys think about this patch. Do you agree with me that this is not the proper way to address stopping the run game? I personally don't think adding abilities is a real solution. I really would have wished they would have tuned other things, but if you tune things, you could break other things. So at least there's that. But at the same time, I just think having more abilities that you have to pay for, and if you play salary cap, you can only have 3 players on defense with an ability. So I don't know, it just kind of bothers me. Let me know if you guys agree with me or not. But regardless, that's it for the video. I'll see you guys later.